Hello all. I know there have been some questions about the week 3 task list, and I just want to give a quick overview of what is expected, when things are actually due, so on and so forth. So as you know, when you go into the classroom, this is what you see, and you go into week 3 task list. And remember that in order to go into the task list, that is the sessions that are due for the week, you need to go in through here, and that will take you to the Google Doc. And in the Google Doc, you will see that you have 3 sessions for this week. The first one is all about close reading. So it's a module and some articles that you're expected to read. So as always, you open up the week, the task list, and then the session. And the sessions always look like this. So this session is session 4, and it's all about close reading. As before, you will go here into View and Explore, and here you'll find the PowerPoint presentation. So I just want to go there so you can know what to expect if you haven't already done so. And in this PowerPoint, what you're going to learn about is close reading. And close reading has, I guess, a two-pronged objective. So the most important part of close reading is having students engage with the text multiple times. So if you're having students read something that's more complex, or even if you just really want them to understand the text, one read is not enough. In fact, there is a new philosophy in education that says that we should have students read novels twice. And the first read is not the traditional read that we think of when we think of reading novels, but various teachers do it differently. I've supervised one very effective teacher that what she did was that she assigned a novel, and that was something that the students did very quickly in the span of maybe 2 or 3 weeks as homework. And there were assignments attached to it, but it was more of a perusing through a novel, not a deep read of a novel. For students that needed it, she made sure that they had a recorded version of the novel. They had some class discussions, but nothing too in-depth. And then the second read of the novel was completely different because it was mostly done in class. And what she did then is that she had students read only the sections where there were secondary characters being mentioned, or had them really read deeply certain chapters within the novel, and those were the ones that were really dissected in class. With poetry, for example, I would suggest that you always have students read poems 3 times. The first time is just to get a quick read of the poem. The second time, students are actually starting to know the structure, and as an educator, you're facilitating that knowledge. And then by the third read of the poem, that's when they can really start analyzing the poem and the context and what's happening within the poem and the author's purpose and message. So this entire PowerPoint presentation, as I said, is all about close reading and different techniques that you can use. The other part of close reading is tied to the article, the close reading article that I've sent. And if you come here, you can see that you have one article, a chapter that I'm asking you to read, and another document linked to close reading that I'm also asking you to review. So the article on close reading is here. It's Close Reading Without Tears, and it really talks about complex texts and how to make them less daunting for readers. And the most important part of the article, or the one that I would pay most attention to, of course I'm expecting you to read all of it, is this understanding about anchor texts and inquiry questions. So you should never have students read in a vacuum. You should never have students read texts that are out of context. So today you have them read a short story by Edgar Allan Poe or a poem, but then tomorrow you have them read an article about Trump. So those two completely disconnected texts aren't going to make too much sense for students. So whenever you're planning anything, lessons, units, they should all be tied together. So you should have given some thought about what it is you're having students read. So if you're reading a novel, there should be other texts linked to that novel that provide greater access points. If you're having a student read Shakespeare, for example, you can definitely have them read Shakespeare. There are many avenues, and some of you have already sent a wonderful video on hip hop and Shakespeare, dealing uh, with how to introduce Shakespeare. But tied to the reading of Shakespeare, you should have contemporary texts that deal with the same themes. And all of those texts, let's say, as you see here, 4 or 5 texts, should all be linked by an inquiry question. So students should be reading these 4 texts that are all linked by theme. So they don't necessarily need to be linked by genre. In fact, if you're having a student read Shakespeare, you should have satellite text or anchor texts that help him get to that theme in a more contemporary setting. So maybe you would have them read Shakespeare and 2 articles dealing with similar themes. So the most important part of the close reading is really that you understand how important it is to have students do close readings, and the importance of planning texts that are joined by themes and that you provide an inquiry question for, so that students go into each one of these texts with that same question. It could be something existential, as in, does it pay off to be altruistic? It could be something about, let's say, if I were having my students think about social media and the impact of social media, perhaps I would ask them a question about social media and the kind of control that it has, or the power that one can garner through social media. And then all of the texts that I would have them read would deal with that theme. They don't all have to be about Facebook. I mean, you can deal with power in society and how power gets carried out and by whom, and it doesn't have anything to do with Facebook. So it's more about themes. So I just wanted to show you that that's the article that you're reading on close reading. Then you have a chapter that I've linked here, which is also about close reading. And then you have a document here that you don't have to do anything with this document. I just wanted you to see that it's very possible to plan, and it's suggested that through Common Core that teachers use text sets. So basically, exactly what I showed you in the previous screen related to the close reading article. This is a great guide. It gives you examples and shows you a strong text set and what a weak text set would look like. And I just want to make sure that you're all aware of the different guides that you have at your disposal, so that when you come up with your own close reading, if you choose to do the close reading presentation, that you have as much information on close reading as possible. I've also provided information on reciprocal teaching and on collaborative strategic reading, because those are the 3 strategies that you will be dealing with. So I wanted to briefly discuss that you should be preparing to share a reciprocal teaching, collaborative strategic reading, or close reading video. And I've provided you with the instructions of the video here. It should be no longer than 10 minutes, and it should be about 7 or 8 minutes long. And I've provided a Padlet where you would be uploading the video. I will send another video trying to explain the best ways of creating the video, and more than likely that'll be just you using your phone to record yourself. And as I've said here, these are the areas that you want to make sure that you touch in the video. And it is not due until August 6th. So this is just, you're preparing to do this, but this is not due this week. It's due August 6th. And I wanted to make sure that we understood that. So I will get back to you shortly with yet another video. for the next two sessions, so that we can just be sure that we're all on the same page. I can't do it all in one video because I have some time restraints with the app that I'm using. So I'll get back to you soon.